In the book of Exodus, when God calls Moses up to the mountain to receive the law, it's an amazing sight. There are dark clouds and thunder and lightning and trumpets and, of course, the voice of God as he calls out to the people, as he proclaims the Ten Commandments, so much so that the people say, we can't even stand to hear this. What an amazing time it must have been to be there. Well, today, this is the third in our 4 mountain series, and we're going to draw a large, imposing mountain. It's not Mount Sinai, but it reminds me of that as I look at the mountain peak and the snow that we draw. It reminds me of how majestic it must have been to be there. Hi, I'm Jim Pence with See the Light, and I hope you'll get out your art supplies, and let's draw a mountain together. Well, in this video, we're going to look at how to draw a large mountain up close. So the last couple have been distant mountain ranges, and now we're going to do a large peak in more detail. I'm laying in some clouds again just to start out. The chalk I'm using is lecturer's chalk. It's 1 inch square by 3 inches long, so I can cover a pretty good size area quickly. And I just lay in some, kind of a light coating of white chalk, and then I'm going to go through and smooth that. And I want to do that because I wanted to pick up some of the tone from the paper. If you look at clouds, they're not solid white. They're a mixture really of colors depending on the conditions and the sunlight and everything else. So now I'm going to come back in and again just hit the edges of the clouds with a little bit more white. Sometimes I will go back in and soften those edges again, but in this particular case I'm not going to. I'm just going to lay those in, and again, the main focus of the drawing here is the mountain, so I'm not going to make the clouds overly dramatic because I don't want them to draw too much attention away from what I'm about to draw. So again, just once those are in, I'm going to begin drawing the mountain. I'm going to lay a little foundation for it with a charcoal gray chalk. This is actually a relatively new color for lecturer's chalk. Used to have kind of a very light gray, which we still have, but the charcoal gray is really nice for doing effects like this. I'm using the full side of the chalk, but I am not pressing as hard as I might. I want to let, again, some of that color from the back slide through, show through, and now I'm doing the other side of the mountain and putting actually even less pressure on that because that's going to be the highlighted side of the mountain. The one thing with lecturer's chalk is because it is so soft, it's very easy to get a too thick a layer, and when you get too much chalk piled in there, you lose the tooth of the paper, which is very much the case with pastels too, and it becomes difficult to draw or add or layer in any other colors. So I want to make use of the tone of the paper and again keep things kind of soft. Coming back in just to smooth some of that out to give me a foundation to draw on. And now I'm going to come back in with that same charcoal gray, and I'm just going to reinforce some of those edges and some of the dark places that I want to stand out a little bit more. Now, there's not always a whole lot to talk about while this is going on, so I'm going to throw in just a little bit about the medium I'm working with, and that way, if some of you are curious and might want to try it yourself, this will give you the resources that you need. The paper that I draw on is called gray bogus paper. It's something that performance chalk artists have used for literally decades. I began drawing 40 years ago, and that's what they were using. Well, now I'm coming back in with some light peach to give a little highlight to that mountain there. And I'm not pressing particularly hard. I just want to lay in, again, some highlights. The gray bogus paper is recycled newsprint, and it's not particularly what I would call archival or acid-free, so this is not something that you would use for something you wanted to last a long time. Again, performance chalk artists, as a rule, we're not creating work that's going to hang in a museum, so it's for a live demonstration, and so it isn't quite as critical the paper we use. I'm coming back in with white to just add a little bit more highlight on that side of the mountain. The chalk, as I've already mentioned, is called lecturer's chalk. It can be bought if you're interested in trying it out. You can get it at eternityarts.com, which is probably almost the only real supplier of this kind of chalk anymore. I'm coming in with light blue now. It's the same color as the background color that I toned the paper with, and I'm going to just put in a little bit of light blue there, and that can represent a little bit of snow in the shadowy areas, and a little brown to just begin to add a little bit of earthy color in here as we get to the bottom of the mountain and move away from solid rock. The bogus paper you can also buy from eternityarts.com, and it's I guess if you work with soft pastels and compare with lecturer's chalk, you'll see that soft pastels are actually hard compared to lecturer's chalk. Lecturer's chalk feels almost as if some air was whipped into it. It's that light. It feels almost as if you've got nothing in your hand when you have a stick there. I'm using some blue-violet chalk there to darken the shadows on that side of the mountain, and again give it a little bit more color, move away from just a total gray look. And what I'm doing down at the bottom is just throwing in some foothills. This isn't designed to be a finished picture, so I'm not really too concerned about what that part looks like. Okay, coming back in. Now this is the light gray that I was talking about, and it's in value a little bit not too far away from the white chalk, so it's not real good for giving a gray stony feel, but it does work nicely for highlights in here. And again, coming back in with more white to heighten that snowy highlight effect. Want to sharpen the edges along that ridge coming down the front. When I do a chalk drawing, the full size, I'm working on 1/4 the size of the paper. My full easel is 40 inches by 54 inches. So it's a very large drawing surface if you're doing a full-size chalk drawing. And normally I do a full picture in about 15 minutes. while an audience watches. And I also have, most of the time I have blacklight chalk that I work into the picture. This is not blacklight, this is just regular chalk. But in my next video I'm going to do a mountain with what we call visible fluorescent. It's the day glow colors that you normally see in stores or kids markers, things like that. So check the next video, and I'll do a totally different kind of mountain using fluorescent chalk, and just a different kind of an effect too. Well, thank you for watching. I'm Jim Pence. Come visit my website, jamespence.com, and be sure, if you like this video, be sure to click the like button and subscribe, and click that little bell if you want to be alerted to new videos in the future.